Greetings ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my channel. I will be your host, Thrones, bringing you a role-playing build known as Balra's Pupil. Balra's Pupil in a nutshell is a role-playing build intended specifically for a niche casual playstyle, questing around and all-around normal content. It is in no way made for veteran content. It is not. It is not made for min-maxing, nor is it made for any difficult content, nor veteran dungeons or veteran trials. It's for pure questing around and for fun. That's the disclaimer. Thank you. The build revolves around being a pupil of Balra, basically a Reachman werewolf and the witch of the Ice Reach Coven from the dungeon. We are all about being a warlock witch, very much nature themed basically. Balra's Pupil can be any race, any gender or even any class. However, I highly recommend going Warden in this case because of the whole nature aesthetics. But you could go with Necromancer because that theme also repeats in Ice Reach, or going with a Ice Mage, also Warden. Maybe even Sorcerer with the summoning and soul gems and stuff. But I will go with Warden in this case. While it can be any race and any gender, I will be showing you my iteration, which is Nord, of course. Our character was a small lad who revered nature and the natural world all his life, even growing up in Rorikstead. After traveling to Glenumbra, hearing of the Glenmoriel Coven, the hard way did he find out they admit no male members into their covens and enforce laws of nature which only they recognize. Full of anger, he left the place only to hear the unnatural storms brewing in the Sea of Golds. The Nord forces sent to investigate quickly found that the coven has regained strength and the patronage of an unknown benefactor. In recent times they drew attention to themselves by our character. The Ice Reach Coven are a group of witches who are based in the island fortress on Ice Reach, led by Mother Kianat during the rule of the Longhouse Emperor Leovic. They served as his advisors until they were driven out of Cyrodiil during Varen's rebellion, along with the rest of the Reachmen. They were further chased out of Skyrim, forcing them to return to their island home. While begging to be accepted, the only witch in the Covenant who actually showed heart to our character was Balra. As such, she gave him a couple of scrolls to learn some magic related to nature. And as such, our character story begins. And now, for the build. For our race, we picked Nord. I picked Nord actually, just to be clear, for Nord is actually my favorite race and I will always try to find a way around to play a Nord. That's it. Ideally, you would actually want going with a Breton character, considering they are the closest to the Reachman, basically, and playing as a Reachman witch or warlock in this case. So yeah, but I picked Nord for I really love them as a race. Like, yeah, there is no need to explain. Dragon priests, Skyrim, yeah. I went all into Magicka considering we are going as a witch warlock, so it is a mage based character in a case, so we're going with around 30,000 Magicka. For health we have quite a lot considering we're a Nord. I mean, I'm a Nord. I've invested a little bit more into spell than weapon damage, but that's really irrelevant, for we are not trying to get any special numbers from this build. We are using we're actually a werewolf. Why are we a werewolf? Well, because one of the witches in the Ice Reach Coven, which we are a student of, is a werewolf herself. So for that legacy we are also being a werewolf, and we are actually using this transformation from time to time just for fun, as a uncontrolled way of slaughtering everything and stuff. But it is very much nature themed, so nothing to lose there. For our Mundus stone I'm using the Thief because of the critical rating. The reason why I'm using the Thief stone is connected to one of the gear pieces. As for food, currently I'm using all primary stats because I'm actually going into werewolf's form quite a lot, but if you are struggling with your magic recovery or you feel like your Magicka pool is going down too fast, you could always go with Witch Mother's Brew. I mean, the name itself is very nice. For our skills, I am using very weird skills, actually, not gonna lie. Very weird, because we are going with only the animal and green balance skill line. In this case, those two are our main primary skills we're going to use for the theme. First skill, we're using budding seeds for no other reason than it being flowers on the ground. It heals us quite a bit, and this build actually survives quite well, considering we're using multiple healing abilities. Even our ultimate is a healing ability. So we're using budding seeds. We're using Lotus Blossom. It heals us for every fully charged heavy attack or even light attacks. Also giving us major prophecy, increasing our spell critical rating by 2500, which goes very well with the Thief's Zone and the set we're going to mention later. Third ability, I'm using Trapping Webs. I think it is a very niche, I mean, it is a good ability, not gonna lie, in groups, but I'm just using it for the spider summoning with a little bit of the webs. They're not technically spiders, but more of, well, what are these? They're giant bloated ticks, basically. Fits well with the witches, actually, not gonna lie. We're using the Blue Betty for a little bit of Magicka return, and going with Major Brutality and Major Sorcery, increasing our weapon and spell damage by 20%. It is also free of cost, so you can spam it to heal, because one of our passives is Bond with Nature. Anytime you use it, you heal for 1000 health, which goes nice with healing a lot. For our fifth ability, we're using Leeching Vines. The reason we are using this one is Minor Lifesteal, giving us even more healing back. Always nice, sucking the blood from your enemies with having vines around you. Really nice ability. And a healing ticket from the Secluded Grove we are using as our second ultimate. It is a oh crap kind of ability. It's very cheap, 90 ultimate only, healing you for 8000 health, and for 6 seconds, every 1 second you have like 250, 3000 health every second. And we picked this morph because you don't want to lose the healing over time just because you left the forest, but if you want the other morph, go for it. As I said, it is a role-playing build. Go wild with the abilities. You don't like this morph, go with the other one. You don't like this one, go with the other. You want to morph this one into something else, go with it. You want what it's called, the other, not Betty Mage, Bull Niche. You want to go Bull Niche, go wild. There is nothing in this build that limits you. It's basically a role-playing, story-driven build, and it is purely made for questing around. For our second bar, which is actually our main bar, but I swapped them around, so in my loading screen I have the staff, and this one is the sword. I'm using actually a two-hander, but we'll get there in a second. I'm using Screaming Cliff Racer as our main spammable, because animals. Bugs are actually one of the main abilities we're going to use, because there is nothing better than bugs. We're using Deep Pressure as our DOT for basically 3 seconds. It just explodes a lot of bugs, so very nice. Bird of Prey, just being slaughtered, it gives us Minor Berserk, increasing damage done by 5%, increasing your movement speed when activated. As for our last skill, we're using Deafening Roar. Why are we using this one? We can't even use it. Well, the thing is, while slaughtered you gain Major Savagery, increasing your weapon critical rating by... Actually, why the hell am I using this? Huh. Yeah, let's I think we already have a Major Savagery. Never mind. Let's pretend you never saw that. Alright? Let's pretend that you never saw that. Let's go with shrooms. Shrooms are nice. Yeah. Let's go with shrooms. As for our ultimate, we are going with Pack Leader. Why the hell are we going with Pack Leader? Well, because Werewolf. You can swap it out for Winter's Embrace. You can go with more magical if you want to add a little bit more damage with Winter's Revenge. You can also add on a little bit of Unstable Wall of Elements, a little bit of Elemental Drain. If you want to add even more damage, you can go with Trap Beast. If you like, you can even go with this one, but you don't need it because Warden itself has the Birds of Prey instead. You could add Accelerate, basically, if you want to add that Minor Force and major expedition for some reason. You could also add a little bit of necrotic orb. It actually could go nicely with witch theme. And for your spammable, you can actually replace it. If you don't like the Screaming Cliff Racer, you can go with Force Shock, main spammable, and go with the Asylum Destruction Staff instead of whatever we are using. But for this sake, I'm going with this one. Or you can actually add on a little bit of bear summoning, because a animal companion is always nice. However, I personally do not like the bear, so I'm going with a werewolf. In this case, it's a purely subjective opinion. I literally don't like the bear. It's too bear-like. Yeah, I would like a little bit more wolf than bear. Anyways, for our sets, our main set, which is the reason I was thinking of this build, is Mother Cyanide. Mother Cyanide. Basically, while in combat, casting an ability with a cast time or channeling ability grants you a damage shield that absorbs 5000 damage for 6 seconds. If the damage shield is broken, you restore Magicka. This can only occur every 7 seconds. Thing is, you would think Warden doesn't have any abilities for this to proc. However, light, medium attacks and heavy attacks actually count as a casting over time, so you can proc it every time you try to go with a heavy attack and it will just proc. For our middle set, we are using Briarheart. The only reason we are using Briarheart is, it gives us critical chance, it's very universal. It's a medium set, even though we are mage, it's a medium set. However, with the recent changes in some of the armor sets, it doesn't actually draw us back, except for a little bit of the sustain when it comes to Magicka itself. So I would recommend going with Witch Mother's Brew instead of the Tri-Food. 5 pieces. When you deal critical damage, you increase your weapon and spell damage by 500. While this effect is active, your critical strikes heal you for health. This effect can occur every 15 seconds, and the heal scales off your higher Magicka or stamina. Thing is, the reason why we are using this is the aesthetics. It has a little bit of the vines on its head, on its hands, so going with that is actually quite aesthetically pleasing, not gonna lie. For our third set, we are using Bloodthorn. Reason? Just the name of the set, nothing else. It's just called Bloodthorn and we're using it because it has thorn in its name. That's it. But it's a nice set. You can you get weapon and spell damage, you get maximum Magicka, you get Magicka recovery, and when you deal direct damage you restore maximum, you get Magicka and stamina every 5 seconds, so it can actually help out with some of the sustain we lost. For our weapons, I'm actually using a Ice Staff for our back bar just because why not? It gives us a shield every time we heavy attack, it gives us another shield if you use the Wall of Elements, but I'm just using it for no reason at all. If you want to go Lightning Staff, go Lightning Staff. If you want to go Fire Staff, go Fire Staff. I'm just using Ice Staff because I like Ice Staffs. I'm using the Greatsword for our front bar because you can actually go with a dual wielding or whatever. I'm not losing that much damage considering some of the passives. I apologize, my skill line is very low for this one, but if you check the second passive of the two-handed, if you're using a Greatsword, it increases your weapon and spell damage by a certain number. I only have 1 point invested into this, so I only get 142 spell and weapon damage. However, you can increase that with another one. So yeah, I'm using a two-handed. However, you can go with a dual wielding. They also have a certain passive. It's basically the same one. Each sword gives your weapon and spell damage by 71. So if you go with to level 50 and you unlock the second one, you also go with 142, I think. I'm really bad at math. I think it's 142, and if you use 2 swords, it doubles to 284. So going with these is not a bad option, actually. No, whatever you want. If you want dual wielding, go with dual wielding. If you don't want dual wielding, go with double staff. Actually, personal opinion. The reason I'm using a two-handed is because I'm a node. I like going with the swingy stuff even when I'm magic, and I like the aesthetics of the two-handed of this one. We'll get there in a second. Some alternative sets you can use are, if you want to go a little bit with a certain Daedric Prince, a witch of a certain Daedric Prince. For example, if you want to go with Namira, you can go with the Void Caller and the set from, what it's called, Vatshran Hallows, the light one. You can combo those two for a little bit of the Void combination, maybe use the Vatshran weapons for a little bit of adding. If you want to go a little bit more buggy, or literally buggy, you can use the... Where is it? Pestilent Host. Whenever you kill an enemy afflicted with a poison effect, the corpse releases a breathing mass of fetcherlings. Actually goes very nicely with a witch theme. However, I recommend Hex Siphoner with, even though it's just every time you bash an enemy you release a cone of hexing energy. Combined with Void Caller, you can go with the Namira style. If you don't like Namira, you can go with her scene in this case. Comboing whatever you want, you can go with a heavy attack build, Dark Convergence if you like a little bit more of the Dark Hole matter. Really subjective. You can go whatever the heck you want. Do I recommend any alternatives? Perhaps for the Monstrous Shoulder, if you don't own it, you can go with master weapons instead of the head and shoulder. You can go with Ice Heart basically if you want to be a ice mage related witch, so going with Ice Heart would go very well with this one. However, I'm going with more of a nature style, so yeah. For our CP, honestly, everything's subjective. There's nothing I can tell you don't already know. If you want to go with min-max and going actually full damage, I recommend trying out maybe Deltia, Alcast, whatever. Personally, I only added a little bit into Rationer, Liquid Efficiency, Treasure Hunter, and a little bit of Speed. Those are my main ones because I want my food buff to last a little bit longer. I like my potions not to, well, deplete from my inventory too fast, so this one gives me at least a 10% not to consume it. Steve's Blessing, I like a little bit of movement speed when running around. If you don't care about your character but you use your mount more, I recommend Gifted Rider actually. Treasure Hunter, quality of items you find in treasure chest, nothing special there. For our blue 3, main and the only CP I actually can recommend is Raving Blows. When you deal direct damage, you heal for 7% of the damage done. Doesn't have a cap, doesn't have a timer, perfect. Just heal. Combined with everything else of the healing, of all the skills that heal you on our bars, this one is actually pretty decent. Fighting Finis for a little bit more of the critical healing, we're going with Thaumaturge for the damage over time, and Master of Thumbs, direct damage combining well with Raving Blows. Everything else is just, I just put points into whatever the hell I could. But the main one I recommend is basically Raving Blows. Personally speaking, I like it a lot. It's not a lot of healing, but a little healing is better than no healing. However, if you prefer more damage, go with Deadly Aim and Biting Aura, or you can drop out with one of these and go with just Fighting Finis, Thaumaturge, Master at Arms. If you are using more AoE damage than single target, then go with Biting Aura. If you don't use too many area effects, go with Deadly Aim. For Finis, Fitness, I'm using Health, Stamina, and Magicka for every kill. These two are actually my main ones. Going with a Werewolf, I'm not struggling too much with Stamina for every enemy I kill. Considering I'm just doing normal content, it's really not that hard to kill enemies. I'm going with this one also because I'm a mage after all, so going with both resources is a nice recommendation. I'm going with Health and Armor because I'm a Nord and I really like being tanky and not to die. Otherwise, you can go whatever the hell you want. There is nothing I can tell you. Like, if you want to min-max, I recommend checking out maybe Deltia. You can go with Alcast, even Nephas QH or Nephas and Chill. You can go with that guy. He really knows he knows his stuff basically. Previously, we also had Kev do it. He had quite a lot of meme builds and the Asian God, but I haven't seen him upload any videos recently, so yeah. If you want endgame, check out those. However, mine are just role-playing builds. For our fashion, I'm using Mother Sianat Head and Shoulder. You can farm them right now. I'm too lazy to do that, so I'm just leaving them empty for the monster set I'm wearing. I like the shoulders actually. If you don't like the head too much, you can go with the Ice Reach Heavy helmet, and it will actually match up to the shoulders, as you can tell. It's the same pattern, same look, just different colors. I'm sorry for that. I think it's this one, maybe. No, it's not that color. Let's just delete. Yeah, close enough. If you like the heavy one, but however, I like the Mother Saniat, Mothers, I'm just gonna call her Mommy. If you like Mommy's head and shoulder, just go for it. If you don't like it, go with other, whatever you want actually. However, I'm using Ice Reach for all of my armor pieces except the belt. I actually like the Honor Guard belt. For our weapons, I'm also using Mother Cyanate, going with a two-hander and a staff in this case. For colors, I'm actually using Cold Harbor Ash Black, Woodsman Green for some of the small details, nothing too grand, and I'm using Automation Bronze for the brownish looks on some of the fashion. Basically, to fit the aesthetics, I went with Ice Reach. If you don't like Ice Reach but want a little bit of the roguish, you can go with Barbaric, or you can go with Bloodforge as well. You have quite a lot of options for a nature-themed build. You could also go with a Deadwater one if you're perhaps a Argonian, going with that nature theme. You could also try out some of the Frostcaster if you want to go with more of a Ice Mage look, but I don't want to mix up ice and nature that much, as I consider them a little bit different. Huntsman is a very, very beautiful style you can go with, especially if you're a Hircine worshipping witch, whatever. You could also try out Mazatun if you're a lizard. And yeah. Primal fashion is also very nice if you want to go a little bit more Nordic. You could always go with Sea Giant. Where is it? Here it is. Sea Giant. This is actually very nice for going with a rogue one, but I don't personally feel any magi thingies from it, so yeah. Skin Changer is also a very nice Hircine alternative, for the chest piece actually reminds me from Savior's Hide from Skyrim Oblivion. You could also try out some, if you want to go more of a vampire witch combination, so nature and vampire, you could try out going with Thorn Legion. It has a lot of fur on it, and being a vampire could actually fit it quite nicely. I actually like the shoulders quite a bit. The only one more recommendation I can give you is Ancestral Reach. Where is it? Ancestral Reach, yeah. It's a nice looking robe. It's basically the barbaric style, but 2021, and it's a lot more fleshed out than the other one. So yeah, go wild, mate. Go wild. You can also try out Chitinous, maybe, if you're up for that, or if you want to go with the cheap option and don't want to waste your money on Ice Reach and just want to go with a witch style, go Glenmoril. It's literally called Glenmoril Weird, which is basically a witch armor. It looks pretty decent, actually one of my personal favorites, but I actually want to go with more of a Ice Reach because of the story. However, going with Glenmoril is very much nice. You could also try out Skull or Snowhawk, but everything else is pretty subjective. For weapons, if you don't have Mother Sane yet, you can just go with Ice Reach as well, so... The staff is pretty beautiful, not gonna lie. However, since I own the arms pack, I'm going with arms packs because it has that glow. However, the staff itself, it's very beautiful. There is nothing that can beat it. It has that logo of the Ice Reach. The two-handed is the same story, so a little bit of bones, a little bit of stone, fur. Very beautiful. Very beautiful. Anyways, guys, that's it for this video, and thanks for watching.